In life, you need to be led. A leader must be led with a lead. You cannot move forward unless you calculate the steps you took backwards. Speak forward so you remain forward. You need insight from hindsight to get to your foresight. Direction is critical, important for your success. Be directed. Another leadership embassy where we groom legendary leaders. Today, I'm so excited to come to your televisions. For those of you who have been following the episodes, I am pretty sure that you have really enjoyed some leadership nuggets that will empower you to be able to succeed in your leadership deployment. My name is Dr. Kukubani, your leadership expert. And may I submit to you that you will need to grab a pen and paper and call friends and families to tune in, because I have a lot to share with you. I'll go for a short break. When I'm back, we'll delve deep into what I have for you today. Stay tuned. Tuned. Before I give you what I have today, I have some quotes for you, and I want you to take note of them. You know, when it comes to my quotes, I don't have time allocated within this program to really expatiate on them. But, you know, I said you can call me after the program, then we can have a chit chat on those quotes. Now, the first one reads, "You lead to reign with a rule." You lead to reign with a rule. A leader will reign with a rule. You lead to reign with a rule. The second one says the authority of a leader is not autonomous. The authority of a leader is not autonomous. The third one says leaders' verbs are verbatim. Leaders' verbs are verbatim. And the fourth one says, leaders' priority list begins with people. Leaders' priority list begins with people. Let me throw light on them. We have some few minutes for this. The first one I'll go over again. You lead to reign with a rule. You lead to reign with a rule. You see, you reign with rules and regulations. You reign with principles and practices. There is no rulership that is empty or void of the things I've shared with you. So for you to be able to reign and maintain your rulership or maintain your position as a reigning person, you need to maintain it with rules and regulations. That is what it is. So for you to reign and keep your reigning status, you need to really understand the rules and regulations that will hold your reigning status. The second one says the authority of a leader is not autonomous. And it's very simple. You need to understand that even though you are a leader, the authority that you exhibit should not be self-centered. Authority becomes more powerful when it's people's power. If it is an individual's authority, you have no authority. But if it is a group of people who have come together, as the good book says, one will chase 1,000 and 10 will chase how many? All right. So authority of a leader is not autonomous. Very important to understand that. Another way you could look at it when you are playing words is the authority of a leader is not automatic. For you to be able to sustain authority, to deploy authority, to enjoy authority, you should know it will not come automatically. That's another way to another perspective for it. You need to work. You need to work to maintain authority. All right, so let me read that again. Authority of a leader is not autonomous. Number 3, leaders' verbs are verbatim. Leaders' verbs are verbatim. And what it means is a verb is an action or a doing word. So a word that comes out of a leader for an action or for people to do something should be verbatim. Simply means it should be word for word. You can't give a word, give an exposure of the word, and go back and change it. So you need to think through. You need to really ponder over it. You need to understand certain things before you speak. Give instructions for people to do stuff. So, your word should be word for word. Your yea should be yea and your no should be no. Number 4, leaders' priority list begins with people. I think it's very clear. You do not have a leadership position if you don't have people. You are not a leader if you don't have people. You could have good plans, you could have everything. If you don't have people, you're not a leader. So when you're setting your priority list, you have to put people on top of that list. You have to understand people. You have to respect people. You have to cherish people. You have to always remember that you will have to reason with people. You have to always remember that you will need people to establish and accomplish what you want to do. You need people. But hey, this is the big one. You just don't need people, but you need the right people. Okay, so this is just a little light on the quotes, and I will go for a very short break, and when I come back, I'm sure you will have pondered over these quotes, and so then we can delve deep into what I have for you today. Stay tuned and enjoy the quotes as I return back in a very short while. Thank you. Thank you for staying with me, and I believe that you've pondered over the quotes and you've also made decision to share with other people in your own way that you could explain to people. All right, let me touch on what I have for you today. Today, I'm going to deal with leader's verb or leadership verb. The leader's verb was inspired by when I was in my room and I was thinking of which leadership perspective I could bring to you today. Actually, I started preparing the notes on leadership trends. And when I did that, I just looked up into my ceiling and I saw a verb there, right there. In the middle of the verb, I saw a spider. And I took inspiration from it. So immediately I changed the subject for today. And I'm going to share with you leaders' verb. I repeat that again, leaders' verb. My producers will put it on the screen for you so you can jot it down. leader's verb. The verb is spelled W-E-B. Okay, and I want you to take note of the acronym and what I will relate to. All right, as such. So the W is weld, the E is executions, and the B is boundaries. So when you hear leadership verb, we are talking about the leader's verb, or when you hear leader's verb, we are talking about the leader's weld, the leader's executions, and the leader's boundaries. I repeat it again. Leader's verb simply means the leader's weld, the leader's executions, and the leader's boundary. All right. So basically, I want to take it one after the other so that you will really appreciate what it is. So we are going to look at the leader's weld, the leader's weld, and look at it this way. You need to understand as a leader that you create your own world. Even if you are appointed into leadership, where things are already taking place, and then we can put it in the sphere that the world was already ongoing before you were appointed. Okay, now at that time, what is it that you can do? Do you also have to create your own world, or you have to really conform and comply to what that existing world is doing? I'm about to share this with you. All right, so the leader creates his or her own world, irrespective of the status or the position of where you have been appointed as a leader. When you are appointed as a leader into a place where things are already going, your influence is needed, your impact is needed, your leadership exuberance is needed, and that simply connotes that you really have to come up with something really that is your world. I hope you understand that. If you are also appointed as a leader into a space that nothing is going on, it is also time for you to create your own world. What am I talking about? You see, the lives that we're living really is governed by what we call the world. Everyone wants to get to the ultimate. If I could do this and the world will recognize, if I could do this and the world will benefit, if I could do this for greater good of the world, if I do something and the whole world really attract it and jump onto it, your success and your fulfillment satisfactory moves to the highest apex of the graph because the whole world is saying, wow. All right. So it looks like our yardstick is the world. But let me break it down for you. You were born to create your own world. There is no world that you have to chase after, but you were born to create your own world. That is why a leader, first of all, has to understand the leader's world. If you're a leader, that means that you need to be able to create your own world. And how do you do that? You do that with these two essential principles. If a world is there, look at it like a space. So if a space is there and you have been appointed to lead that space, two essential things that you need. Number one, you construct the space. And number two, you constitute the space. These are the two main things you do. And if you understand these two things, you follow me carefully, you will be able to create your own world. Every world needs construction and every world needs constitution. Whilst these two things are there, we will have a perfect and a satisfactory and lovely world that we're living. Why? Because before you construct, you architect. Before you construct, you plan. Before you construct, you organize. Before you construct, you structure. Before you construct, you cross the T's and dot the I's. Before you construct, you tick the boxes. Before you construct, you read the blueprints and the main print. And so when a space is given to you, when a people is given to you, when an ongoing entity is given to you, the first essential thing you deploy is the ability or the power, the reasoning of constructing, where you have being appointed as a leader. You don't just go and follow what's going on. What can you bring to add value to what's going on? Or what can you do in that open space? That simply means you're creating your world. You're listening to me. I'm creating my world. People will really refer me with my world. People will say, he brings to us good leadership nuggets. How am I doing it? I'm constructing this leadership paradigm of thoughts. I'm constructing them. I am. And after that, I'll constitute them. That's the second one. So to create your world, you need to construct and you need to constitute. A world needs construction and a world needs constitution. I remember when I bought a plane once and I flew to Bermuda. I was in the skies and I think we had about 10 minutes to land. I don't know if some of you need to listen to this, but I'm sure it's a common experience. So when the plane got to the airspace of Bermuda and it descended its height, I happened to have a window seat, so I looked through the window, and I promise you, I saw structured construction. Structured construction. There are some places, and I won't mention name, if you happen to sit in the plane and you really hover over their space and you look down, pardon me, and you look down, you will really be sad, because the whole construction of that space is not structured or organized. So to create a world is to construct structurally and organized. You need to construct it very well. As a leader, they give you a space to lead. They give you people to lead. They give you an opportunity to lead. Your first thing is you need to construct that space. I mentioned that I'm dealing with leadership verb, and I got the inspiration from a spider. The spider exhibited some qualities that I want to share with you. And this is what the spider did. I have been monitoring the spider move from the corner of the room, and I was watching, move to the other corner of the room, move to the other corner of the room, move to the other corner of the room, and finally settled in a space. After all that movement, the spider settled in a space. And when the spider settled in that space, I took my pen and paper and I said, this is leadership. Before you can rule a space, you need to first understand the space. You need to survey and make an opinionated action. You need to do that. You need to survey and cause your opinion to be influenced by your survey. The spider looked around and finally settled at a place. And I said, that is leadership. You cannot rule a place. You cannot rule your world, which will become your web, until you really survey and make a decision where you will build the web and how you will do it, or where you will create your world and how you will do it. Don't just get up and do things. Survey, research before you make a decision. I'll go for a quick break. After the break, Leadership Embassy continues. Stay tuned. playing tune and I'm dealing with leadership verb. Leadership verb. And I broke the word verb down. The W is world. So leaders verb. I beg your pardon. I like leadership. So I'm dealing with leaders verb. And the W is world, so which will be the leader's world. The E is execution, leaders execution, and the B boundaries, leaders boundaries. And I'm now expanding on leaders world. Okay, good. So when I'm done, you will really understand leaders web. I hope you're following me. Now the leaders world is simply, and these are pronounced profound statements that are made. One is you create your own world. It's very important. There is no world that you are aspiring to. Everything you see around you are creativities from other people. If you want a different hairstyle and that is what you desire to get to, somebody did it. Okay? So you create your own world. When they put you in a position as a leader, basically you have been empowered to create a world. Okay? How do we do this? We do it with two important factors, essential things you need to really know them. One, you construct, and two, you constitute. There should be a construction for that world and a constitution for that world. If you don't have those two, you can't create your world. And if you cannot create your world, you cannot lead that world. Neither can you rule that world. If it is not your world, you are not the leader. But if it is your world, you are the leader. How do we construct? And I'm using the ability, the empowerment of a spider. As I was inspired with this message to bring to you, I was watching the spider hovering around the room from one corner to the other, one corner. And I said, this is leadership. The spider was surveying to really settle at a place that that spider knows that it could exhibit its rulership. So when the spider settled there on the ceiling, I was still watching the spider. Said, this is great. Your research, your survey will give you a good opinion of where you need to settle and rule. And once you get that, you have started creating your world. So the spider settled at one place. Then I saw the spider pull something silky from one end and locked it to another place. I was so happy. I wish I had a camera and I would have put it on the spider for you to really see the process. But I learned another thing from the spider. And so I saw that the spider had a plan. So before the spider surveyed the area, the spider had a plan. Leaders, listen, don't just get up and do things. Have a plan before you start implementation of it. The spider had a plan. The spider knows how many silk glands it will pull and how long the spider wants it. The spider knows. So the spider will then look for a space that it will be comfortable to deploy those things. The spider knows already how to create a web. It means the spider has in its hands the plan for creating its web. Do you have in your hands your plans for creating your world of rulership? Or you just go and play it by ear? Do you have any plan as a leader? Assuming you are put in an open space that there is nothing happening there or functioning there, what is your plan to create and rule and lead in that space? Assuming you have been put in a position where things were already ongoing, do you have a plan? When they put you on the spot and they say, as a leader, share with us your vision, what will it be? Share with us your mission, what will it be? Remember and take this. Leader's word is the leader's world, the leader's executions, and the leader's boundaries. And you need to grasp this. Let's create a world with few minutes, then we're moving. So I saw the spider creating its own world. But the interesting thing is the spider first pull 7 of those silk glands. And I said, why 7? Why not 5? Why not 4? It was planned. It was calculated for execution. That's interesting. But let me move into leadership with this so you will understand. You see, I can only lead well if I created my wealth. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. I beg your pardon. I got into multimedia transmissions, and I realized that the first time I needed a transmission, an uplink earth station to be built, I was relying on somebody from Europe to come and do it. And I had no clue as at that time. Then the person will not respond to our calls. They came back and they said that we need this and this and this and this and 5-star hotel, this, that, which at that time I did not have. So I sat down quietly and I said, ignorance has a big cost. I decided to educate myself and to do it myself. Simply, I decided to create my own world. So, what I did was, I started having conversations with a couple of professionals and experts in the field. And I was asking them questions. And I was using my questionnaire to educate myself. I did that for a week. And I still will go back to my notes and say, no, it's left with this and this and this. All right? So, for example, when they say transponder, what does it mean? And, I went clean. I said, please educate my ignorance. When they say transponder, what does it mean? And he will explain. So I was making notes. I did that. And finally, I was able to build my own uplink, of which you are enjoying a telecast from. But this is the point that I want to arrive at. Because I created, installed, configured, optimized, and commissioned my own uplink, I understand every bit of it because I did it. You see, a leader should be involving intensely. You should be involved. You should know what is going on in the grassroots. You lead from there. You've heard me say it. So you should know. You should really know. You should not sit down. People carry your briefcase, bring it to the office, you sit down, and then you shout for people, and it's like they come to you and you have no clue what is going on under you. You will fail as a leader. I'll tell you this story and you will laugh. Probably I've shared it on television before. I had a friend who had no clue a television, multimedia, and he decided to set up a TV. He did. He employed experts to work for him, the norm. One day I visited his office and we were chatting. Then technicians walked into the office and they said, boss, we need to go and buy a caliber. So, and I was quiet. I didn't let them know I know anything about media or telecom or communication or anything. So I was quiet. So the boss asked them, how much is it? They said $2,000 US. The boss said, this thing is expensive. Why did I even get into it? Anyway, he took out his dollar checkbook. He wrote the $2,000 US, put cash on it. And these two guys looked at the boss and beg your pardon, all right? I'm a bit thirsty today. Look at the boss boss took the money from the boss. And then they were going. As they got to the door, I called them back. And I said, get closer to my chair. They got closer to my chair and I said, don't do what you're doing. Don't do it. Then the guy looked at me funny. Then I called him again. I said, come. I said, do not do what you're doing. Give the check back. We will talk. He looked at me funny. So I said to him, don't. I had to come out straight and say, to give the check back to the boss. And I said to the boss, what I'm about to tell you, I don't want it to result you expelling these boys, but you give them another chance. And I said to the boss, when we switch our televisions off and you see the colors that comes on the screen, that is called color bar. That is not sold. It is not sold. So please, take back your money. My friend started, oh my God, you have really saved me. I said, but don't expel them. Let them really, really learn from this. What am I talking about? If you are not into what you say you are passionate about, you can't lead it. If you are not passionate about your profession, you cannot lead it. If you lack understanding in what you are professing you are, you cannot lead it. Leader's verb. A leader creates its own world. How do you do it? By understanding how to construct the world and how to constitute the world. Construction and constitution creates a world. Before you construct, just repeating myself, your survey, your research is intact. Your plans are already birthed. And look at the spider again in the ceiling, pulling strands here, silky, but there was a specific number that came out of the spider. Not 6, not 8. Specific number, not 6 and not 8. And this spider caught my attention and I drew to its exhibit. I was monitoring. The next thing the spider did is the spider really tied a knot on that, let me call it string, that silky string. The spider tied a knot and tied 3 knots from the distance the spider has created with that silky string, tied 3 knots. I studied the distances between the knots and they were of equal distance. Man, this is mind-blowing. This is mind-blowing. This is effective leadership. Effective leadership. There is no 1 inch above or no 1 inch. It is on the spot. Effective leadership. The spider exhibited that. Amazing. To be able to create a world for greater good masses, you need to be effective. You need to be effective. And you need to be efficient with your effectiveness. I calculated the space. In fact, I took my time. I calculated the space and they were equal. And they were equal. Why does spiders create a web? Leaders, listen to me. Just for them to get a prey, just for them to get food to feed their hunger. In other words, why do you lead? Is just for you to achieve your objective and be fulfilled. I'll repeat it again. Why do you live? Is just for you to be able to achieve your objectives and be fulfilled. So if you create a world, that will not bring you this, you have failed as a leader. The spider will finish creating the web, and the spider will get a prey. The spider will kill an insect, and the spider will feed on that insect. So the effort and the investment of the spider achieved returns. Have you invested and you are not seeing returns? Now, you need to understand sweat capital. You need to understand leadership investment in people. And that is where I want to hammer for a little bit. You need to understand that you are investing in people as you create your world. And when you invest in people, which is where the Constitution come in. I don't want to touch on that because of time. But when you invest in people, you need to see results. You really need to see that when you fold your hands and you are looking at them, they are well able to exhibit, to show what they are made of by that investment. Very important. Leaders' Web. Leaders' Web. The W is world, so leaders world. The E is executions, leaders executions. The B is boundaries, leaders boundaries. And today I will be able to share with you just the leader's world. A leader creates his or her own world. How do you do it? By having a constructive plan and a constitution. A world is constructed and constituted. If a world will be a world, it's simply made by different countries. And each country was constructed. And each country has its constitution. And so you need to understand that these elements made the world. Now bring it into leadership. Why am I dealing with you as a leader? Wherever you have the opportunity to lead, it becomes your world. It becomes your world. How will you construct it? What kind of constitutions will you use in that world? What kind of rules and regulation will you implement? How will you construct that world? How will you construct the lives of the people in that space? How will you lead them? It is critical to understand and know that you were born a leader to create your world. I have to go for a break, and when I'm back, we will continue. Leaders' Web. This is Leaders' Web. Please call someone just for the last segment, and you will enjoy. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. This few minutes that I have, I just want to empower you as a leader to create your world. Okay, let me use this analogy. I found out that the spider pulled 7 strands, silky ones, but I have 7 other things to share with you in how to use to create your world. We'll do that another time. But let me just stay here so that it's just a few minutes I have. Let me just stay here. Your world as a leader is what will become your legacy. Your world as a leader is what will become your legacy. You need a constitution for your space as a leader. Basically, you need rules and regulations to abide with to lead. You need principles to lead by. But every constitution has 2 prints. Every constitution has the main prints and the blueprints. So as a leader, you need to understand the rules and regulations you need to put forward, which is your main prints, and the rules and regulations that will work behind the main print, which is called the blueprint. Okay, so you need 2 prints to form your constitution. What am I talking about? I have few minutes. Next week, I will come and continue from where I'm ending here and take it over. Don't miss it. Call other people, and I'll share with you main print and blueprint to bring you a constitution which will enable you to create your world. After that, we will go into leadership executions, and I will bring different kind of sport balls to teach you how you execute them, so you will remember the analogy. Please ponder over the codes again, and then take this content and share it with other people, that as the spider will create its own world, a leader needs to create his or her own world to see the results of fulfillment of objectives, plans, and goals. My name, Dr. Kukubaini, your humble leadership expert. This is Leadership Embassy, where we groom legendary leaders. Remember, next week we are on. Thank you.
Announcements. Leadership Embassy, in short, LE. LE Live. The next live episode of Leadership Embassy is on Wednesday, 27th May 2020 at 3:30 p.m. LE Connect. One-on-one intelligence with Dr. Kukubaini is scheduled to start on May 29th, 2020. Open Room Intelligence. Open Room Intelligence is designed for those who need assistance in intellectual knowledge to advance. To be part of these two programs, register as a member of Leadership Embassy by calling 0594-808-642 for your membership code. LE Fanbase. To be a member of the Leadership Embassy Fanbase, send "Add Me" with your name and number to 0594-808-642. LE Content. For Leadership Embassy videos, audio, and data content, call 0594-808-642. LE Social. Follow Leadership Embassy on social media at leadershipembassy.org. You just watched Season 1, Episode 7 of Leadership Embassy. Kindly share the content. We'll see you next time.